Hello, and welcome to a new War of the Visions video. There's been a lot going on in the world of War of the Visions, Final Fantasy VI, subcards, rune stones. I really wanted to lean into my favorite character in the game, Starlight Elena, and I wanted to take her and transform her to build the most overpowered broken version possible. So what we're going to do is, obviously this is not the finished version, but I will show you glimpses of what I've done with her and how I plan on trying to evolve her to that point. So this is a team that I'm working with. Ignore Lucio, there's plenty of other alternatives: Thancred, Summer Kilfie, Engelbert, Yuna. I just had him there because I wanted to use him all together, and he does pretty good, as you'll see in the videos. There's 5 things that I identified that can be improved on Elena. First would be her survivability. Because she sometimes forgets to use courage, her being able to take a couple of shots before dying would be great. Second would be razor accuracy. Because the current meta is littered with evasion units, her being able to attack and kill other evasion units would be a great advantage. 3. Raising her missile attack resistance so she can survive attacks like sharpshoot from units like Jaden, Cloud, Sedia, and Fred. Number 4 would be getting her to guaranteed attack levels of evasion. Once she hits those levels, then the AI tends to do weird things, whether buffing, doing nothing, or attacking a different unit. And lastly, just accumulating some of the best modifiers, whether it's increasing or decreasing damage that I can get with some luck. Alright, so here's the overview of my OP Elena. As you can see, her stats are okay, but we're definitely going to play around and start to max her out in some of the different sections. Her magic, we're going to get that up. Agility, we're going to get that up. Luck, we're going to get that up. And also the evade, we're going to get that up. Obviously, the base of everything is the winter coat. The winter coat is extremely important in getting her up to the most important stats. But as you can see right now, as it is, she's already at 142 evade, which is pretty crazy, and it automatically gets her into that guaranteed hit. The computer does some weird things whenever they're around her. They swipe at her, or they'll look elsewhere, or just buff when she's right in their face, and I love that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select a couple of different espers just to show you the difference in attack that we'll have from one esper to the other. This is more basic stuff, but definitely if you see, for example, if I was to take Demon Wall, you see that it leans into the light defense and leans up or raises up the slash. So if I want to create some sort of tankier type of Elena, I can go that route. And yes, it does drop the evasion, but not to the point where she goes under 100 at any point. So this would be Golem, the stats with her, and then you can see her defense goes up to 21 and her spirit goes up, so that's another great one. If we go to Bahamut is going to drop the defense, but then we're going to lean more into that agility, and then we're going to have more magic attack, magic defense, the dexterity, the luck, obviously. This is obviously the best one, which is Tetra. Tetra is the best esper to have on Elena because it's going to lean into that luck, lean into that dexterity, lean into the agility, and her stats are going to be really good all around the board. You see that she's weak against dark, but there's very few dark units that are really going to be able to match up with her because she's really going to be able to just walk right up to them and slash them and kill them probably in one shot. The Black Rose headdress is the TMR that I decided to use for Elena. Whenever she uses it, it gives her 3 attacks, so 3 reduced attacks, and it gives her magic, it gives her a bit of attack, and you can kind of play around with a little bit of everything. So I was lucky enough to get evasion, a magic attack up, magic resistance, ability activation time reduction, a slash attack up, and a slash resistance and spirit piercing rate up. So these are all sorts of little things that I'm going to be able to add and lean into that is really going to make Elena OP. The next thing would be leaning into the accuracy, which is something that I plan on doing when I start combining the runes together. Alright, so let's have a little fun. We're going to go through 5 teams, 5 mono teams. I'm going to try to find some really strong mono teams, which reminds me, Lucio was the bonus for this week, so that's actually the reason why he's in this team. So we're going to go after probably a water team, ice team, earth team, lightning, and maybe another light team, just to see how the other teams react to extremely high evasive Elena, and see how they react to each other back and forth. If they start doing weird things or not. So we're going to start with the water team. I like this team, and we're going to go up against them and see how it goes. Alright, so let's go. So both of them are buffing up each other. Elena and Locke are buffing up each other. I'm really confident in the Lucio versus Tidus matchup. I think Lucio will have no problem taking care of Tidus. I'm more interested in Moore and Silas, seeing what they do when faced with 2 extremely high evasive units, seeing what they're going to do. So right there is the first example of what the weird things the computer will do when confronted with a high evasive unit. Silas just moved back for absolutely no reason to go back and buff, and Moore is just buffing in the face of 2 extremely strong units. She's just buffing. So you kind of see where the computer kind of just thinks, or the thought process of the computer in cases when they're confronted with high evasive units. You see right now they're curing, they're kind of just buffing. Moore completely ignored Elena, and Locke went after Lucio. So this is the kind of thing that I like to see when dealing with opposing teams. They're kind of just not attacking, and they're kind of just ignoring the rest of the field and going after other units, or just doing things that are really not productive at all. Alright, round 2. So we're going to go after a light unit, but I want to have a tank, probably Engelbert. So this team looks good with Jaden, who most likely will probably have a really good accuracy. And I really want to go after this team because I want to see, when diverted towards a tank, how Elena and Locke are going to work together. Engelbert is all the way at the end, so the shift is probably going to shift towards the right side of the field, but let's see how it plays out. Alright, so... okay, so they're not even going after... I'm not sure how the Engelbert is built, because the team seems to not even be running after Engelbert. Probably this attack, maybe Elena's going to probably shift over and then go after Engelbert instead of maybe trying to finish off the Elena. But let's see what happens. Oh, there you go. See? So she's shifting over. But the evasion is so high, even though the Elena is trying to go after her, they're kind of ignoring the Locke, which is great. And I should be able to win this one. Alright, so there you go. Number 2 is in the bag. The evasion's really good on this one. I'm really surprised they actually tried to attack her, my Elena, a few times from the back, and it completely missed attack. Locke a couple of times from the behind also. So really good. Let's go to the next one. I want to try to do a win team this time. Win teams are generally known for evasion, all around evasion. So it would be nice to go after a win team, or a team that has a little bit more evasion, to see how Elena matches up with them. I'll probably go with this team. Even though it's not a full win team, it is 3 heavier evasion units. So let's see how this works out. This is one of the things that I probably would want to work on. I've noticed that when a unit is faster than Elena and moves up, Elena goes straight into full aggro mode, and she'll go get aggressive. And she'll forget to courage, she'll forget to buff, and do whatnot. So this is probably something that I might want to work on and try to fix. But that's why the survivability is very important, because if she misses one of her buffs, then she's left open to one of her weaknesses. Wow, one shot 2B. and Lucio's probably going to take care of Lock on his own. So Lucio is doing a pretty good job in maintaining enough accuracy, or is accurate enough to be able to one-on-one with Lock, or to be able to handle Lock on his own. And I should most likely win this one. I don't see... there you go. So there you have it. So that's number 3. Let's go after an ice team. Let's try an ice team. I know Frevia is very weird. She's really good with magic attack. I generally have issues with Frevia. So hopefully the fact that I have that spirit piercing should maybe bring me the victory, but we'll see. I'm not too familiar with the Ice Ninja. I'm not really sure of her name. I don't really meet her to a match up with her too often, so this is completely new, and we'll see how this goes. So quickly looking up the Ice Ninja Rafale, I actually noticed that she has Sniper as a sub job. So it should be interesting because most likely she has extremely high accuracy, but my biggest worry is Frevia, who has extremely high spirit and is a really good magic tank. Oof. So Rafale just pretty much one-shot Lucio, and so it's the weight of the balance has been tipped a little bit. I'm not so worried about Velric. Velric is the budget Oron, but I'm more worried about Rafale a little bit more now because she really just took out Lucio one shot, so we should see how this goes. She has some really interesting attacks. I might have to look into Rafale a little bit more and see how her making or her workout is really interesting. Really interesting. And she wins it. So totally underestimated Rafale, and I'm gonna look into her. That she's really seems like a really interesting unit. Alright, so one more team. I'm going to actually try and go over a lightning team. We're trying to find a lightning team. Lightning has a bit more accuracy. They're really good, especially with Cloud. Cloud has the AoE guaranteed hit, triple slash. So it should be interesting to go after a lightning team and see how they do in the face of an extremely high evasive team with a very evasive Elena. So I might actually go after this team, despite the fact that there's one 115 unit, but the team seems pretty solid. The guy is at 165, so you know, we'll take it for what it is, and we'll go that route. Let's see how we do. So the usual self-buffing. I'm most likely the next time around, I'm probably going to turn off the Elena buff. Because you know, 3 turns go by really fast and it's kind of pointless. I really want her to get that courage in first before starting to do anything. Lucio, I'm not so confident in Lucio going up against a Barra straight up, head to head. She's a crazy strong unit, especially when she gets her man-eater in, or man-eater attack in, so it should be pretty interesting. Okay, so Cloud is gone, so we got rid of that guaranteed hit. Oh, and so I think we should win this one. Oh, okay, so everybody pretty much more or less did their job, and this was a little bit easier. I'm not sure if the 115 kind of helped out with it, but either way, this is just kind of just more of a showcase to kind of see how the units interact with an extremely high evasive Helena. What they do, if they move in, they move out, and we'll definitely keep the progress because I plan on evolving and leveling up that piece of equipment, the Black Rose TMR, and getting it to the point where Elena is extremely overpowered. But we're on the road. If you have any questions or any suggestions, I would gladly appreciate, you know, leave something in the comments for the progress. I'm going to try to keep up and keep the videos coming of how my progress is going with Elena. So take care, all the best, FLIXBOLT out. bye.